Thanks for joining me today. I found this hat at the Dollar Tree and I thought this would be kind of cute in a Halloween junk journal. So I am going to turn this hat into some Halloween junk journal paper. Let's see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and just take it apart so that I can have a flat piece of fabric to work with. Now, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on all my crazy crafting adventures. I do some junk journaling here and sometimes take some odd things like a hat and put it in a journal. So if you like mixed media journaling, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and take this whole hat apart, and then we will see what's next. Now I'm going to use Mod Podge to secure the hat fabric to the paper. And I have some Mod Podge in this jar that is almost out, so I'm just going to try to get as much out as I can. Then I just really smush the fabric onto the paper to try to get all of the wrinkles out. Next, I'm going to take this Halloween candy corn tissue paper and I'm going to cover a page in this. I thought it would just be perfect for a Halloween junk journal, and that is the paper that I'm making today. So again, I use Mod Podge, and I am just going to Mod Podge one side, get the tissue down, and then I'll get the other side Mod Podged and tissue down as well. And I use the seam of the tissue to help kind of guide where my paper is going to lay. After I get this tissue really stuck down, I'm going to come back with my scissors and just cut right up to where the cardstock paper is on the inside of the tissue and give it that nice clean edge. Here I'm going to take a napkin that I found for a pack of them of like 20, I think, for $1. So that was a very, very cheap craft. And I'm just going to take this napkin that has kind of a spider web and spiders on it and secure it to a piece of cardstock. And so again, I am using Mod Podge. Now, I did not really realize it at the time, but this particular napkin is 2-ply. And so not having Mod Podge on both sides of the napkin made it not want to kind of stick as well. Now, you may have seen these napkins before. I have done a different paper craft with these napkins as well, but I decided that they would be a good contrast to the other side of this paper. So I'm going to trim it down some because I don't want to have kind of a awkward half border. So I'm just going to take that border off completely, and then obviously the bottom hangs far off the page, so I will end up cutting all of that off. And I kind of like having a border in the middle to break up the two colors there, kind of that antique paper versus just the hard white. So I'm going to go ahead and lay Mod Podge down, and this tissue or this napkin apologies, is only 1 ply, so it sticks very well to the paper. For this napkin paper, I decided to let it dry before I trimmed the excess napkin off the page. And that allowed me to kind of make a crease and give me a little bit better of a guiding line for my scissors. Unfortunately, at some point, I peeled part of this backdrop off. Now that my hat fabric page is completely dry, I am going to trim the excess off of this as well. And part of the edges did not stick down well enough, so I'm going to just come back with some Mod Podge and get those edges to really stick. Here is another napkin that I found as well, and they were only $1 for about a pack of 20. So I'm going to go ahead and trim out a couple of skulls, and I'm going to trim close to the line, but I'm not going to get right up on the line, and that's fine. It's going to blend in well enough with this white paper. And if you cut at a consistent width around your line, it tends to still look okay, versus if I had some parts of around my line that were like, a 1/4 inch thick, and some that are nearly right up to the line. So as long as you're consistent with the distance that you're cutting away from your image, you should be okay. So I'm going to cut 2 of these skulls out because I want to put them side by side so that after my journal paper is folded, I will have 2 skull pages. So I'm going to use Mod Podge again, and I didn't notice until after I glued the first skull, where I wasn't paying enough attention until after I glued this first skull for the 2-ply, and so it's really not sticking on the edges as much. So I just did what I could to make it work and stick down as best as possible. But for the second skull, after I learned my lesson, I decided to take the first layer off and then only glue the actual image to the page, and it turned out much better on the edges. I really like how all of this paper turned out. And if you would like to see how this ends up in a Halloween journal and more of my paper crafting adventures, go ahead and hit that playlist and watch all of the fun journaling that I have to offer. I'll see you next time on Devil's Treasures.